dry down there. Right here from the door, like you work the bar.
We want to find out if we can get by with less than that. And personally, after just a quick look, and with our dining facilities here, our new kitchen here, it looks to me like that we're going to be able to get by with less than $10 million. I think that we'll have a recommendation to the Speaker and to the Appropriation Committee this next week.
It's called the Ideal School, and the 3 teachers and the student body of 19 kids attending the school think Ideal is the perfect name for it. The small Craig County, Oklahoma school is a step back into the early days of education. It's not quite a one-room schoolhouse. Ideal has 3 rooms that the kindergartners through 8th graders share. The school hasn't changed much since it opened 22 years ago. No financial problems, with students and teachers happy to be there. But all that could change. A state law says the school must have 20 students to operate. With only 19, the Ideal School may soon be shut down.
I wouldn't be quite as happy.
You wouldn't be as happy? Why not? What is special here?
Oh, I've been here all my grades. I like it.
If Ideal is closed, it means the 19 kids would have to be bused 50 miles each day to attend classes in the nearest city. The kids at Ideal don't want that either. Some state legislators have become involved in the fight to keep Ideal open by trying to have the 20-student requirement removed from the law books. The parents, teachers, and kids attending the Ideal School won't know whether its doors will be open again for classes next year until the end of this May, when the Oklahoma legislature adjourns and a decision is handed down.
Tie these two green with brown and yellow all the way around it. So try to put this one over these two to pull.
I told her, I told her to wear hats.
The conditions that our experts found in the prison suit when they were going to the mental hospitals to see what kind of treatments the inmates received were outrageous. And if those conditions are not good for prisoners who are being treated at the mental hospital, then they are absolutely appalling for people who are not incarcerated. If people were outraged at prison conditions, they are going to be sickened to learn of the conditions in Oklahoma's mental hospitals.
The public will learn what the legislative committees have known and that we've tried to bring to the attention of the entire legislative bodies, that the facilities are inadequate, there are non-existent treatment plans, that people are held in more restrictive environments than they need to be, and there needs to be a complete rehauling of the mental health system.
I think that we offer really good nursing care, and I think one of the advantages of a small hospital is a nice feeling and a nice cooperation between doctors, nurses, and patients. I feel very strongly that for general care we offer as good as anybody.
Just to evaluate each patient, how much there is, to just to take care of a particular patient. We have, as far as some of the other places are concerned, we try not to say, that we compete, but I think there's a public image that you need to, or we have to strive for, and if that public image of your institution, like Bethany Hospital or any others, if that is low or high, will many times determine on your occupancy.
The most recent court order
is gonna have the present facilities.
But my recommendation is that if you do that, it seems to you that you would be able to give the contractor access to right next to the rotunda without compromising the security of the institution right there. But I tell you that I don't believe that that can be done. I believe that you would put us in a situation where the breaches of security, the continuing breaches of security, would present a menace to the people of this state.
Tower, American 487, 11 miles out.
The steady growth of air traffic throughout the nation, and certain locations such as Oklahoma City have generated enough of a growth to where we feel it's a congestion problem and probably a need to contain all the activity around the terminal area within positive controlled airspace.
give this to you.
The layout at McAlester.
And of course, if you have to move a wall, then certainly you'd have to have something there, in my view. I can't see that the problem would be that great over in the East Cell House area where that wall is.
Dr. Benton, I just wanted approximately in the neighborhood of $15 million.
The question of what one could do with the walls during Phase 2 is something that can be studied for the next 2 years, and certainly the McAlester Chamber of Commerce can get plenty of opportunity for input into what they'd like to see as the disposition of the walls. Tearing out the north wall.
Department, I noticed in here that there's probably, what, 3 options?
Prisons replaced Alcatraz. That they replaced Alcatraz with a fenced institution. Double chain link fence, movement sensing devices.
Have a copy on your desk. Section 1 of the, and provides that for taxable year 1970, the brackets set forth on that page would be.
And the only reason it was put together for its passage is for politics, to try to convince the voters that he's going to get a tax cut and to try to threaten him not to vote for State Question 539, when the realities, the bottom line is, the expressed objective is almost a net revenue no change.
If I could sit down and draft what I personally think is the best thing for the state of Oklahoma to do, it wouldn't be this bill. It would much more clearly resemble the bill that we initially passed in the House. But we have to recognize that there are 2 houses in the legislature and there is a governor. And we have to attempt to work out a plan that is acceptable and that can meet with majority support in both the House and Senate and be signed with the governor.
Nice to see you, sir. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Governor.
How you doing? Hello, over there. They're going to come in and take some pictures. Just while some of you in the back just come up and sit at the table. The cameraman wanted to take some pictures. Now, what we're trying to do is, first of all, realize that we have set aside energy, diesel, for example, that the state can move from one area to another in case there might be a spot shortage. And if there does develop within the harvest period, certain areas or spots that have a shortage of energy, through our set-aside program, we'll try to move diesel into those areas. The distributors could help each other. The companies could help each other. If somebody has a problem, help these people out. And they all pledge cooperation wherever possible they can. We feel as confident as possible. Previously would not have stored it, and the situation is obvious, that if I go out and store it,
in the manner in which they compute their federal income taxes. Under Method 1, that particular taxpayer, if here it's set forth on that page, would provide. But the crux of the matter is that we have developed a plan that provides the maximum relief to those in the middle income tax brackets, and it will absolutely eliminate the tremendous tax reductions that the initiative petition would provide to the higher income taxpayers of this state.
But the first thing I want to tell y'all is that we're forgetting one of the cardinal rules of politics or of legislation or anything else. I'm reminded of the old anachronism, or the old acronym, KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid.
I
those desiring to vote or change their vote.
Mr. Miller's daughter is very smart. She knows where the only true men are found, and that's in.
And I can state to you from my reading in this bill that I think it's a bad, terrible piece of legislation. Phony in many respects.
The issue is whether or not the people of the state of Oklahoma are going to get a tax cut. That's the issue. The people of the state of Oklahoma are entitled at least to an expression from this body, however small, of a knowledge of their particular plight. This bill provides a tax cut.
Anything's possible, but that is not our desire. We want the extension to be only for the capital improvement money, and that is to avoid the loss of actual purchasing power due to inflation.
Go to the mailbox and let's make the phone.
Okay. You want this money?
You were driving the green truck?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who was driving the red tractor? Okay, let me see your driver's license.
Government constituents. Government constituents. Used to be.
Yeah, used.
I thought they said back there in Oklahoma City that the highway
did.
back there said it was all right, and they.
The reason why we're doing this is because we don't like the 5 mile-an-hour speed limit. We don't like the log books. We want the rates up. We want the fuel drop. I don't know what Carter and those old boys up there in the White House are doing, but it sure seems like the little man's getting it every time.
issues as well.
It would appear they back one another up. Is that what happened?
I don't know. I'd like to know.
Mayor, we have Chief Grambling here, who I think can perhaps answer the
Thank you very much, and perhaps Chief.
Oh, this is the one that Puckett's. It's been serviced all the time.
Three?
Well, there were 100 M&M during this 2-year period. At least if these figures are correct, that's what we may assume.
I can't in good conscience vote against the recommendations of all these people who know more about this matter than I do.
Codify and put up on our computer a fantastic...
I use AAA, so there's no collusion there. I'd like to know maybe why you're coming on so strong, Councilman Anthony. I think you, just to drop the subject just a minute, but over in your ward in the zoo, I had some people call me from Harvest Hill there, the 5th grade, they nearly get mugged out in your ward in Ward Zoo, in the zoo there.
And I am not acquainted with this council and how it operates, and I hope that I'm not meddling by getting into an area that does involve other people.
There's a lot of difference between the two. And
When you talk about competition, there's one thing that stifles it, and it's called barriers to entry. It's one of the criteria that creates monopolies. And I think this council is creating a barrier to entry when they have some person who goes through all of the procedures and then they turn him down.
Gone out of service during that interim to provide those same districts to provide that service. But we didn't have that
Now,
problem.
these calls...
Because I haven't looked at their records, but there were a number of zones that were...
and rapists escaping the death penalty while the Endangered Species Act. Protector of the child, and I certainly respect that. The bill did not pass. I understand that this past year there were over 200 abortions at University Hospital. If we instruct the committee to put a section in there to prohibit abortion, I think we could be doing a great service to the state of Oklahoma and to the unborn.
This is not the time nor the place to try to insert language on that issue into this bill. We have no business, it seems to me, setting out a different standard, a different procedure, a different requirement on abortions at University Hospital than exist in other hospitals. For this reason, what will end up happening if we adopt this procedure, if we adopt this as the law, what will end up happening is that we will still, at University Hospital, be faced with the same situation as we have been in the past with reference to people who do not pay for abortions. What the hospital will face is a serious problem with reference to those people who can pay for them, because those people won't come to University Hospital. They'll just go next door to Presbyterian, or they'll go next door, they'll go down the street to Mercy, or they'll go to the hospitals where they've got the money to pay for them, where they don't have to go through these procedures.
Just right up above that, yeah. Be sure that when you put that collar on over here, that stays, everything gets lined up there, otherwise it'll flop. Punch and drive that collar back so we get that loosened up, and then you can take that other drive pin out.
from one extreme to the other, I've caught more than my fair share of hell from the constituents in my district, from the black people throughout this state and across this nation who are Langston graduates, and on the other hand, from a total white community who I feel has not been sensitive to the problem. The school is there, the student body is there, the chance to make it a viable institution and an institution that will contribute to the educational growth and development of our citizens is there. All we need to do is respond in a very minor way with a little love, a little money, a little care, and a little attention, and that university can survive.
And quite frankly, it would be politically a lot easier just to stand up and say, close it, get rid of it. But that wouldn't be justice. In the first place, Langston University hasn't, at least for 10 years, been given an opportunity to function properly. The leadership has been virtually nil, and it has languished there.
Session. Speaker Draper, Senate President Pro Tempore, and I wanted to underline the immediate concern of the people. And in alphabetical order, we are cooperation. And us the opportunity, particularly in the field of correction. I wanted to come for two reasons. One was to thank you, and the other one was to compliment you. The third reason beyond that would be that I wanted to announce to the people of Oklahoma that the legislative executive process does work. It's a strange process, and it comes in what I call the 3 C's: conflict, cooperation, and consensus. And that is the normal process, and it has worked.
Somewhere else. Now I think we ought to put it to a vote.
Here they go out, cut his pumps off. What do they do? First thing they want a convoy.
Okay, but it's after 8 o'clock, sure. These other places are pumping, man.
Now, if we have to go out and shut them down again, we'll go out and shut them down again. But as it stands right now, Tom gave them his word that this is what he would like for them to do for us. And I feel that every one of them has done it. And if we have to go back out there, we can go back out there. It's not that far.
We're waiting here. We're closing next hour.
The American people are basically, we're a law-abiding society. We're a nation of rules. We're a nation of procedures. And thank goodness for that. That's what protects us from illegal actions such as what took place Saturday. That was a blatant violation of our property rights. And we will continue to prosecute to the fullest. They've had their public hearings. They've had their
And I certainly feel that the results of the election, whether I win or lose, should be protested in the courts, and that a new election should be held in fairness to all of the 25 candidates. I'm also outraged that the Oklahoma County Election Board should allow this to happen, and I really call upon the State Election Board to initiate an investigation to determine why this went about, and the responsible employees should probably be disciplined or discharged.
Before this election will be declared invalid, we'll have to have a court order from the district court declaring it invalid, and they'll set forth the terms of a new election.
Much of that property has been allowed to deteriorate radically because their thinking tells them it's worth more, to do that than it is to worry about keeping it fixed up. So if we want to save the housing that is not actually in the path of the road, the greatest thing we can do is to get something done in a hurry about deciding when and where the road's going to be built.
The continuous mining machine cut into an apparent old mine workings that was not mapped or previously known to exist. The effect of this was to flood a portion of the mine. At this time, one of our miners, Clifton C. Bowden, has not been located.
It's a TV, black and white, button on the front. Hey, wait, number 77. What do you want to give for? $5 now, 10. 5 to 10, 15. 10 will get 15. 10 will get 15. 15 now, 20. 15 will get 20. 20 now, 5. 20, 15. Item number 16. 20, 20, 15 now, 16. 15. Yeah, that's a little puppy. Puppy over there. Fine. You want $5, $20, you want $5, you want 30, you want 30, 30, you want 5. Indian choker necklace. Pair of turquoise earrings. Shirt, blouse, pants. Hey, just got it all. Fine. $40, you want 5. $40, you want 40. 35, 40, you want 40, 40, you want 40, 6, 45, 50, 50, 49, 50, you want 50. Can't take your bid without a bid number. We'll have to back up and take the next person that's there. All right, now what do we got?
to it. Some of them have already raised their family. They've always raised children and been home.
Regulations, but first of all, we're compliant. I must have heard it on the telephone because when the mothers call me.
The parents of children in family daycare are in our home.
We are endeavoring to the very best of our ability as we're thinking of these children to give the working parents a choice between family daycare, where it's in the home with a home-like environment. Give these working parents a chance to choose between a family daycare and a daycare center. There's work for both of us, and we need many, many more family daycares.
In respect and appreciation to the truck type operators who voluntarily shut their stations down to offer their help to us in any way they could, we feel at this time to help them recover some of their losses and to service trucks that are going home, that we release them at 10 o'clock.
We all can reflect on the last 2 years of Amcare, the problems that we've had of being in a deficit situation. And I think we're coming out of those woods and we're entering a new year with a much sounder footing financially. And I'm very optimistic about what that'll mean to us and especially the community.
The main beef is that we feel that President Carter has singled out the federal employee, placed a 5.5 pay cap on them, while he lets the public sector go ahead and negotiate up to 7% increase. That's the main thing.
And that's not fair, you think?
That's not fair at all.
Yes.
Yeah. Take that spot there where the wind won't be blowing it. They're just...
I know, so you better tell me when you've run out of questions.
Dr. Kissinger,
Will you tell me what papers or media you... Better tell me when you've run out of questions.
Dr. Kissinger,
Will you tell me what papers or media you're from when you ask your question? He is an intelligent man who has thought his problems through, so we occasionally have an exchange. If we, for example, restrict the sale of wheat to particular countries, and then these countries go to other consumer nations, like, say, Canada or Argentina, and buy the wheat there, we will not have achieved anything and simply distorted the pattern of international trade.
They say, computing their figures from 73 to 79, that my prices were 4.2 over what should be legal.
And were they?
According to my figures, they're not. We have sat down and refigured and, put out a whole written reply, and I've contacted a lawyer, and we've sat down, and figured it all like they, wanted, and we've written a reply to them.
On these refugees. We are very concerned about the Vietnamese refugees, around 350,000 right now in Southeast Asia, especially about these 76,000 in Malaysia. And you can see that on the refugees there are our brother, sister, relative, friends, just the Vietnamese who fled the communists like us, who came here in 1975.
In other words, I'm not sure, I think that might be an impossible requirement unless I misunderstood. I mean, we have to reach out to the and have a retainer agreement. We enter a demurrer to the charge, request a statutory 24-hour period to file a written.
State of Oklahoma versus Susie Webb. There has been a disposition. Whitlow.
here all day.